Man, out of all of the races, wet weather at Spa is it just makes me happy. I don't know about you, PJ.
I gotta agree.
But especially for Tier 2 as well. Have you seen Tier 2? Because intermediate weather at Spa is tough. But wet weather at Spa, like full wets, it's just deadly. And the poor Tier 2 boys have got wet weather in qualifying and at the end of the race.
What the hell? That's so
I don't even think, not obviously they're less experienced and they've got worse weather and it's literally one of the hardest tracks in the game. I don't think a single driver is going to finish. I think the winner of the race is going to be the driver who's like in P20, like just taking their time and spending like 3 minutes per lap or something. But man, honestly, I am looking forward to that race on Sunday. It'll be absolutely crazy. Has the NFL season ended yet?
No, it hasn't, but it has for my
That
team.
is unfortunate. Oh,
We were one of the top favorites headed into the playoffs. Our Hall of Fame, we have a legend at quarterback, and he sort of laid an egg in the first round, and we were knocked out. So it's a period of mourning for me still.
it is. It sounds like it. It sounds like you're mourning a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say, then, if you've got nothing else to do, you might as well, you could always commentate for this Spa race on Sunday. Or, actually, even better, I will be able to commentate the finale in Brazil
Oh, really? Wait, what?
on Sunday. Yeah, the Tier 2 finale.
on
because
Sunday.
I'm going on, I'm going on a holiday from Monday to Friday. So,
Nice.
I'm going to be able to do the Tier 2 final, so I'm thinking if you've got nothing to do, maybe you could come along and we could have PJ as a special guest for the Tier 2 finale.
Oh, you're saying that actually, because the NFL season isn't totally over, so I'm still watching football on Sundays, alright? But that week is actually the week before the Super Bowl where they take off. So that may work out well.
Oh, okay, maybe. You see, I thought that it was like, if your team's already knocked out, then you won't watch it. Like, I don't really watch too much football, but I know that if my team were, like, guaranteed to be knocked out, I would just sack off the whole season.
No,
and
yeah,
just
I'm a big NFL fan.
Yeah,
in
you sound
general,
like
so.
a pretty big fan, so
Yeah.
that's cool.
Okay, I think the stream is working well. Hello, Oda, hello. Luke is joining us in chat.
Oh, wow, the Hayet's Hospital Luke here, or whatever he's changed his
Yeah,
names here.
I was gonna wait for a better time to give him a little shout out. Once I would imagine we have more people watching on replay. I don't think people are gonna come back and watch this bit, so I'll save it. But
Yeah. I'm just thinking, I'll tell you what we need to do. We need to make a VFL highlight reel. Have you got a laptop that can video edit? Because I love those video edits that you did last season, honestly. They were so good.
I know, it's just I do have a laptop that could do them. It's just it takes a little amount of time.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe I could get back into it.
A little amount of time, dude. It takes hours and hours and hours.
When this league first started, I had like nothing going on for the days that we were racing and stuff, so I had all the day to do stuff. Now my schedule is a little more filled up, so I could still try to fit it in.
Nah, it sounds actually like we need to get somebody else. You see, I would do it actually, but I've just got a PC that just does not work.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna have to do all the video editing on kind of my phone or on my PlayStation, but then you can't edit videos that you downloaded from YouTube. But I would have done it actually.
Yeah, no. I know Sky.
Yeah.
Sky does video editing for freelance, I believe. So maybe be someone I could probably talk to about perhaps taking it over. I don't know. Conversation for the off season.
It sure is.
Are you abreast on the win scenario for Robert Diaz heading into this race?
Abreast?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Like, are you in the know? Are you like up to date? Are you?
Oh, yeah. So I did actually see the message that Dark Inferno put in the announcements about if Robert Diaz wins, then Connor Kidd needs like a P5 or like a P3 if he.
Right.
If Robert Diaz gets the pole and fastest lap, I think it's like Connor Kidd needs a P3 or something. So I think it's pretty. first of all, we can actually start this as almost like a PJ pre-race prediction. And this is the question: do you think Robert Diaz is taking the championship today?
No, I don't think so. I think Connor Kidd
wow.
is going to have a good race.
I mean, kind of cast your mind back to season 1. Connor Kidd was all over me in Spa. He almost won the race. He was literally crazy. It seems like Connor Kidd is he's a different human being around Spa. But is he going to be a different human being around Spa in the wet? And that's the question that we need to be asking, because, man, one mistake, literally, it is one mistake around Spa in the wet, and you are just a fiery little inferno.
It is very unforgiving. There's not really a sector that you could take off. I suppose most of sector 3 is fairly easy, but even gotta focus up coming into the bus stop chicane, because you can easily lose traction coming out of it. But sector 2 is a beast. Obviously sector 1 can catch
tough.
out. So I predicted Robert would win the championship last week, and I still stand by that. I still think he will, but I would imagine he is gonna have a little bit of a battle with Connor today. I don't think I see Connor having 2 misses in a row.
Yeah, and I've just realised as well that because of the way that the point system is, Robert Diaz isn't many points ahead of Connor Kidd. Only about 10 points ahead. So if Robert Diaz DNFs today, we were talking about Robert Diaz winning the championship. If he DNFs today, that could be a Connor Kidd World Championship right there.
I know. I'm not cheering for anyone in particular. Obviously, both Robert and Connor are season 1 drivers. Like them both very much. Love their driving, but it definitely can't help but cheer for it to be a close one. I hope we get a good finale in Brazil.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
Again, I would be happy for Robert if he clinches it today, but I'm hoping that it goes down to the last race.
Man, I just got a message off Sky, or at least he's put it in the general chat, that apparently if we... Whoa! Hang on a minute, I've just almost dropped my controller then. If we give Sky enough money, then he's willing to...
Yeah, alright, same with me. I'll do anything for enough money, alright?
I mean, how far are you going to take that? Anything for cash. Right
Listen.
On stream, is this a confession to like some sort of dark criminal underworld? Would you start selling your organs for cash? How desperate are you right now, PJ?
Depends which organs, man. Depends which organs. No,
which
I don't
organs?
think so. I don't know. What organs could you go without? Like, I don't think I would
normally
donate
it's
a
like the
kidney
liver
to anyone that
kidney.
I don't.
Liver?
I would...
What am I talking about?
What'd you say?
Yeah, kidney. I said a liver. It's like you've only got one. Yeah, a kidney. A kidney normally is the one that you donate.
Yeah, and I would save that in case, like, my own flesh and blood needs it. I want to give that away for $50 or something.
$50? More like it's about 200,000, I think.
Oh, okay. Maybe you know what? Nah, there's no way. There's no way that you could go into the hospital right now and cash in your kidney for $200,000. There's no way.
Oh man,
because you would have people in America doing that daily.
Dude, it's illegal. That's why. It's. I guess if you pay the right people, like the mafia or something, I think Oda would probably spend $20,000 for your.
Why would Oda?
Kidney. I don't know. You see, Oda, he does make some weird comments. He talks about he's got a lot of friends in high places that he threatens me quite a lot. So I'm just a bit concerned with that. So yeah, maybe, I don't know, maybe, put in the right calls and anything can happen. Talking about putting in the right calls, I'm trying to get a sponsor for VFL next season, because if we can get a sponsor, well, I mean, cash prize for VFL season 3.
I
don't know. Well, that's what I mean.
We don't generate any revenue for
any viewer. Yeah, but this is the thing. Is remember that I was racing in that really dodgy ass league? It was like IKR or something, and there was a genuine sponsor at the start of that race.
No, I don't think I remember.
No. Right, anyway. I was racing in a league once, and there was an actual sponsor, and everyone in the chat was laughing about, oh yeah, PJ makes up his fake sponsors, like Maya Sausages. These genuinely had a real sponsor. Like, when there was a safety car, they went, this safety car is sponsored by, like, Red Bull or something, and then it flashed up on screen, Red Bull. Like, it was no word of lie, an actual sponsorship. And that's how they got cash prizes. It's like the winner got like 150 quid in this championship. And I'm just thinking, we got Pudnick's chair at the moment. Imagine if we could slap, you know, £150 onto the winner. And it goes to, like, well, Robert DS, quite clearly. He'd be the favourite to win. Well, it all depends whether Sick Boy is going to be racing next season or not. I'm on too. Oh yeah.
No. What are you not too sure of?
Yeah, I'm not too sure whether I'm going to commentate or race next season, because if you asked me last week, I would have said, "Oh yeah, I'm going to race 100%." But that's because I literally had 0 championships. All the championships have started this week, like PSGL and WOR, and then me, Steph, and Dark Inferno have actually set up like a mini team. We've joined this championship.
Well, thanks for the invite.
It's like
guys.
a team. I mean, it's like a team championship, and we're literally really against like proper teams.
Oh.
Okay, I tell you what. Right, for the record, PJ, do you want to be our official mascot?
What the fuck? What?
Do you want to be our mascot?
Do I want to be a mascot?
Or maybe our engineer, actually. That is a good point.
Team?
Yeah, of the fake. It's VFL Racing.
It's the most disrespectful question I've ever been asked.
I mean, no. Mascot is stepping over the line, but maybe the engineer. Maybe you could be on the mic and be like, Steph, you need to put in 5 laps or something like that.
Oh man. Right, I mean, look, I'm just
dude, PJ, if you didn't take me out that race in Paul Ricard, that social race that we did, you see, you may have forgotten about it, but I've remembered about it.
Wow.
If you didn't take me out all that long time ago, I had a lot of sleepless nights over that.
That's on you. I don't know what to tell you.
I don't know, but yeah, so we're part of that little championship. It's going to be embarrassing because every other racer is part of a proper esports team. So it's like IFR esports team, VR esports team, and then literally I had to make a name for it. So I was like, well, let's just call it VFL Racing. So, and it's literally me, Steph, and Dark, and we're going to get absolutely smashed. But yeah, so what I was saying is, last week I would have said, I want to race, but now that I've got a couple, like 3 championships on the go, I'm actually thinking, I tell you what, I might just stay in the commentary box for now.
Well, you seem like flipping sort of as the days come. We got a lot of time until that
is very true.
Decision has to be made. So you take your time. I can't lie, I feel both ways. Love having you in the booth with me, but also as a fan of VFL Racing, would be very excited not only at the return of the Season 1 champion, but a possible return of the Season 1 Constructors champion if you would team up with Steph again, who seems to have upped his form quite significantly since Season 1. I think it would be, so has everyone. Obviously everyone's getting better for the most part. So yeah, it would be interesting. I don't know. It would be interesting.
Really interesting. Talking about Steph real quick, let's just pan over to him real quick. He's just received a slipstream down the Kemmel Straight, and he is on a flying lap right now. And JKS Racing is right ahead of him. In fact, he's just lost it, and just lost his wing coming out of turn, I think that's about turn 5 or 6. That is unfortunate for Steph, but luckily, it was just the wing, and he's still fighting for another day. And in fact, Sector 3, that's Mirko coming outside of the turn, going down to the run of Blanchimont, has just ended up losing the rear, and another driver's just lost the rear. That's Dark Inferno in the exact same corner as Mirko. They're both just kind of chilling out in the gravel trap right now. In fact, no, that's Leif Fan. Both drivers have ended up spinning. Man, there must be some oil on track or something, obviously.
Yeah, somebody just went off in front of B-Rob as well. I'm on board with him as he's put together a pretty strong hot lap. I think he may be one of the first times on board.
Yeah, really interesting. Well, before he pops that flying lap, let's just make a note of the fact that, and I keep on forgetting to mention it, Tom Taylor sets a 145, 161. The Sick Boys Super Lap today is a 142.569. So let's see if B-Rob can beat that.
Well,
right now, as he crosses the line, a 143.529.
Okay. From what I could tell, that was a pretty solid lap from him. I would imagine there's still Going to be a decent bit more time to find as Pit Tulo comes in at 1:43.5 as well in the Red Bull.
Oh, wow. Cameroon, actually, I think he's just received a slipstream off Luke J. Gilly. No, he's dived into the pits. I think Luke J. Gilly is also diving into the pits, so don't listen to me. I don't know what's going on.
Hey, Chills is Chills is he does he have a seat at AlphaTauri, or is he a reserve?
He is a reserve.
Nice. And he is your brother, right?
That is very true, yeah. You spoke
Do
to
you
him
like
in
try to
person.
keep that a little secret? I don't see you guys bringing it up that much.
I mean, I'm not too sure if anybody cares, to be honest. That's why I don't really bring it up. They're probably
Fair
just
enough.
like, oh, damn, he's talking about his brother again. But no, for the record, yeah, Chills F1 is my brother. And also, after his recent performances, and he won't mind me saying that, after coming back at the back of the grid every single race, causing so many DNFs, I don't think I want it announced to the world, to be honest. I'm a bit embarrassed.
What do you
Obviously,
think?
the
Do you
racing
guys-
talent doesn't run in the family.
Do you two like to race together, just like growing up and stuff? Were you ever into racing games? Is it much of a
No,
competition?
so it's really interesting. I might as well tell the story. It's not that much of a story, but I hated kind of F1 and everything motorsport for all of my life up until about like May 2020. So about May 2020. And it's because my brother was home. He was living in London, but then the whole pandemic happened. He moved back to where we live, and he was playing all of his racing games. So I was watching him, and basically I was like, oh yeah, these racing games, you know, I need to find a good game. They look pretty good. So we were doing kind of gaming tournaments, and I would pick a game, and it would always be like Call of Duty, and I'd smash him. And then he would pick a racing game, and it would always be like Dirt Rally or F1, and he'd smash me. So I'm like, you know what, I enjoy these games, let's get into them. So then I got into them, and me and him kept on doing like 2-player split screens. That was really good in F1 2020 that they added that split screen mode. We poured hundreds of hours doing split screens, and at first it was like neck and neck, you know, down to the final race. Because we do like a whole championship, 25% record it on a bit of paper and everything. It was really, really mega.
Yeah.
A couple of championships in, and I would beat him by about round 8.
Wow.
Because I don't know why. I think he
Are
just
you the
kinda
elder
gave up.
brother?
No, I'm not actually. So he's 25, I'm 19. So
Wow.
he's much older than me, but just on
Well-
board with Chills F1 right now. He's just gone round Les Fans, and he's coming up towards the final 2 corners before Blanchimont, and then the bus stop chicanes. So it's a little bit of a slow lap at the moment, but let's see if he can string it together. He actually said he was working at the moment. I don't think he'd like me announcing this, but just for the record, he is actually kind of working and gaming at the same time. So, I mean, give credit to Chills F1 right there. He is committed to the race. He's not going to miss a race for anything. And I think he really wants a permanent seat in Tier 2 next season. So, hopefully, he gets a permanent seat. That would be really nice. And he goes
stuff.
P8, ladies and gentlemen, with a 1:46.261, which isn't a bad lap. But yeah, so that's kind of the whole history of the Sick Boy family.
The sick boy
And
family, nice.
yeah, the Sick Boy family, and that's about it.
Alright, taking a little bit of time for everybody to get their times on the board. Obviously, it's a long lap around Spa, but also one that may have a few drivers who are only getting 1 or 2 valid laps throughout this session. It is a tough one to stick together unless you're really feeling it.
Yeah, exactly. Honestly, with 80 minutes of qualifying around Spa, there really is not enough time for anything. I mean, you can string together about 2 sessions, maybe, you know. By the time that you do an out lap, a flying lap, maybe 2, and then you come in, that's literally like 8 minutes. So you can only do that like twice, really. It's so tough. But I see a lot of drivers, just changing the subject real quick, going for slipstreams, which is very interesting because slipstreams are extremely powerful here, PJ.
Yeah.
I couldn't get an accurate reading for this race because the AI was so slow. I'd overtake them like halfway down the straight. But I've kind of calculated that a tow down the Kemmel Straight will save you about 0.2 of a second, and then a tow all the way from turn 15 to the bus stop will save about 1.5 tenths. But I reckon it's still about 0.2 of a second, to be honest. So it just kind of depends on where the drivers kind of want to go for a slipstream. We've got a yellow flag in sector 1, and that's a Ferrari driver. And that
Oh
is
no, Tarmac
Tarmac.
DNF'd. No.
Unfortunately, he's DNF'd just on the exit of, I think, turn 5.
No, and the frustrating thing is I rode on board for a part of his last lap, and I think he finished somewhere that would have put him P4 or P5, but unfortunately he invalidates, and the next lap is out of the session. Man, difficult for Tarmac.
Yeah, that is absolutely heartbreaking for him. I mean, man, this is freaking out trying to look at this. There we go. Now I can finally see the track map. Yeah, it was just coming out of kind of, I think, Lake Como. It was a very difficult situation for Ferrari. Tarmac is probably going to start in P20. He's in P19 right now, and Steph's just started a flying lap. He's coming towards Rivage right now, one of the toughest tracks to get right on the calendar. You want to glue yourself to the inside apex because the track kind of just drops off towards the exit. He's quite nice through No Name, but he doesn't go on that little strip of concrete on the exit of No Name and up to Pouhon. I mean, I think I'm the only person in VFL that used to go on that little strip of concrete. It doesn't save any time, it's just fun to do.
Yeah, I
Ranley
agree.
fan now.
I tried doing it for a while when I was doing my time trials, so then sort of just realized that I wasn't even gaining any time doing it, so
Yeah,
I
I
stopped
know.
doing it. Meanwhile, though, Luke J. Gilly has set pole, and Dark Inferno is the first of the sort of top-tier drivers to set a time. We have a lot of guys. Connor and Robert are still yet to get a time, as well as Steph, who will now as he's coming into the bus stop
real quick.
chicane.
He's purple, sector 2, going into the bus stop chicane, very late on the brakes, and to be honest, it's almost perfect through the
This
bus
looks
stop chicane.
fantastic from Steph.
This
I
is gonna
think
be
he'll
pole.
have pole when he crosses. It is a 1.435, but oh my, took a little bit, but he is P3. A good 3/10 behind Luke J. Gilly in P1. As Cole was epic, it's a 1.431 for pole. Tom Taylor has DNF'd. He's sitting at P7 for the time being, but a great lap from Cole is epic.
Yeah, we got a lot of drivers, I think, kind of oversteering around turn 8. I'm not too sure why, actually, but yeah, that's about 2 drivers DNF'd in a very short space of time. So yeah, very unfortunate for Tom Taylor.
And I'm riding on board now with Robert Diaz, and he went wide around Pouhon, but did not get
But he doesn't
invalidated. Yeah, so,
Yeah.
I mean, very crucial. He needs to, I don't know, this is a really difficult spot for Robert. I think he needs to finish his lap and just get a time on board, but then he will have to hurry back into the pits if he wants another chance for competitive
What's
lap.
interesting is he sets a purple sector 2. I was actually watching his car, and it wasn't too quick around sector 2. But still, it's a purple sector 2 for Robert Diaz. Let's see if he can kind of string it together through the bus stop chicane. Doesn't look like he's going to abandon his lap, and he doesn't. He is going to avoid the pits, finish his lap time, and
he
it's
goes
pole of
pole.
1:43.059.
Oh man, and pressure is on Connor Kidd. He is sitting in the pits right now as he sees that, and he knows that he needs to get a decent lap in order to keep his championship hopes alive. That is a big time lap for Robert Diaz.
Man, I am confident that Connor Kidd and Alfa Romeo in general have got this. I definitely think that we're going to see a sub 1:43 today. And both Alfa Romeos are in the pits. In fact, Connor Kidd is all the way up onto the Kemmel Straight. Not too sure what Mirko's doing, not leaving the pits just yet. Maybe he's going to leave when Connor Kidd's kind of heading towards the bus stop chicane. But yeah, I think that one of the best hopes that Connor Kidd has right now is a teammate that is willing to cooperate with him and give him a tow down the Kemmel Straight, because I'm not too sure if Dark Inferno is in a bit of a championship battle with Robert Diaz himself. I'm not too sure if Dark Inferno will be too willing to give Robert Diaz a tow. I think that he kind of wants Robert Diaz to lose a couple points here and there, because Dark Inferno is only probably about 1 or 2 victories away from taking the title himself. Just quickly panning over to the Drivers' Championship for Season 1. For Tier 1, sorry, it's Season 2. And of course, from our results in Portugal last week, we have Robert Diaz in the lead with 167 points, 3 wins to his name. But just behind him, only 18 points behind him, is Connor Kidd with 149 points and 4 wins to his name. Remember when we said that he won his first ever VFL race? In Imola, man. I'm never going to let us forget about that.
Yeah.
It was tough. Cole was epic. He's actually tied with Steph. 12 points off, in fact about 30 points off Robert DS. And then we have 11 points behind them, Dark Inferno. So he's actually 41 points behind Robert DS, actually. Dark Inferno is in 5th position in the Drivers' Championship. And then I think for the Constructors, it is Alpine first, and then I think Alfa Romeo second, actually.
And meanwhile, Connor has begun his hot lap, and more importantly, he is getting the slipstream from Mirko as you predicted on the Kemmel Straight. Mirko will move aside and send Connor Kidd into... Oh, I thought he was going to get a purple sector.
Yeah,
not,
I mean,
but
he might be going
flying.
for the high... Yeah, he might be going for the high downforce setup. I'm just going to quickly talk about the lap as he goes into Rivage. Like I said, you've got to glue yourself to the inside curb, and he does so very well. Heading into No Name, it's so easy to run wide on No Name, but he doesn't. He doesn't go on that strip of concrete. As he approaches Pouhon right now, you see, Spa is one of the only tracks in the game in which I'm actually changing my differential on the fly. I always crank my differential up to the max for Pouhon so that you can go flat. Heading to Lei Fan right now, and he's all over that curb on the inside. I wouldn't recommend it. You can easily oversteer. And Lei Fan is really good. He's around Stavilo right now. Final corner before they really...
Oh, he invalidates! No, it was so good, Sick Boy. It was so good. It was a purple sector too.
That was heartbreaking, honestly.
Sector 2 and
it was such a good lap. And he's going to have to wait. I wonder whether he's going to give a toe to Mirko, or if I was...
No, I don't think you can worry about that right now. You need to get a time on the board. You are competing for a championship without a time on the board.
Man,
I think the plan,
second though, man.
The plan was certainly to give Mirko a slipstream on the second lap here, but Connor needs a time on the board. He's sitting down in P17 battling for the championship. He will have one last lap to stick it. Oh, and who's... Oh. Never mind, I think Cameroon was just running through some barriers, no significant damage.
No, I'm quickly going to run down Connor Kidd's lap then as he goes onto the Kemmel Straight once again. And I think he's gone for a high downforce setup because he didn't set purple even with a slipstream. So he's into Laycom right now, and I mean, there's not too much to it, but you do want to flick your car around turn 8. On the run down to Rivage, again, glue yourself to the inside apex. It's a weird line through Rivage, and he does so great.
Oh, no Dark name, goes into the 142.
Very easy to run wide on No Name, and it looked like he had, but no, he stayed on the white line. Surely he's tinkering with his differential, cranking it up to the max for Pouhon, and it's a perfect Pouhon, ladies and gentlemen. On the run down to Lei Fan, is he going to stick an inside curb on that little white bit of concrete? Unfortunately, he doesn't. Now, the second turn of Lei Fan is pretty good. Now onto Stavilo. He ran wide here last lap. He's not going to want to do so again. And yeah, he's incredibly safe around Stavilo. And now it's all flat, all the way down, round Blanchimont, and for the bus stop chicane. Ladies and gentlemen, we have to spectate this lap as qualifying is now over. Connor Kidd, he may be starting P18 today, ladies and gentlemen, or he may be starting on pole position. As he approaches the bus stop chicane, will it be pole position for Connor Kidd, 4:35 for Alfa Romeo?
Dark's time is difficult to beat. Here it comes. And a 142.9. Oh, just a 10th back from Dark. Still a fantastic lap at the last chance to do so from Connor Kidd. Hops in front of Robert DS. But Dark Inferno will look to claim pole for now. There still are a few hot laps underway, such as Robert DS's. We'll see if he can beat his teammate. But some high drama coming into the final laps in Spa qualifying. Fantastic
Ladies
stuff.
And gentlemen, this qualifying has set us up for one of the best race starts you're ever going to see. We were robbed of an insane race start in the real-life Spa race this season. But I think this is going to come a pretty close second. We're going to have Dark Inferno and Connor Kidd sharing a front row of the grid. But interestingly, Connor Kidd is going to have the... Oh, wow, ladies and gentlemen. It mixes it up even more. Entry Pachulo.
Oh, Sick Boy Robert is 4/10 down on his PB coming into the bus stop chicane, so he may still have something to say.
I can't believe it. Ladies and gentlemen, it could be a front row Alpine lockout. I thought that everybody had already crossed the line, but not here in Spa with a 1 minute 42 lap time. 4/10 down. That will put him as a 142.6. His heart's going to be racing through the bus stop chicane.
I think he's going to do it.
Is it going to be an Alpine lockout? And it is, ladies and gentlemen,
He
final minute, a
smashes it.
1:42.648. Not quite the Sick Boy super lap for Robert DS,
Oh my
but it doesn't
goodness.
matter. Only
What?
1/10 off, thereabouts.
Man, wow. Fantastic stuff from those top three to get those times in. Wow, what a race we have
my days,
ahead of
ladies
us,
and gentlemen.
indeed.
What I was going to say is Connor Kid's going to have the inside line into... what's turn one called again? Hang on, ladies and gentlemen. Into La Source, ladies and gentlemen. Dark Inferno now.
You're trying to hit a record with the ladies and gentlemen, I swear.
Yeah, I am. Ladies and gentlemen, Dark Inferno 373 is going to have the inside
Oh my
line
God.
into La Source, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh my God.
I'm doing it on purpose now, dude. Honestly. So, first of all, we've got an Alpine front row lockout. Dark Inferno is going to have the inside line into turn 1. But then Pichulo and Konnikid, Pichulo's got a lot of pace in him. He's one of the fastest drivers on the grid, I think, just through lap times alone. Very aggressive driver as well on the overtakes. I wouldn't be surprised if a couple drivers go too wide up Eau Rouge and Radion. And if I have to remind you, PJ, it's all going to be in the wet. It's all going to be
dear.
in the wet once again.
You are
and
correct.
that's another...
I'm gonna run and
that-
get something to drink. You run through our qualifying standings
okay,
if you
no,
want. I'll be
absolutely.
right back.
I'm quickly going to take a screenshot of the top 14, but just real quick, I might as well say this now as PJ's gone. Robert DS beating 0.2 of a second faster than Dark Inferno. And you see, this kind of makes a really good point. Is Robert DS 0.2 of a second faster than Dark Inferno, or is it a difference in strategy? You see, it's going to be an intermediate race. It's going to turn dry with about 4 laps to go right at the very end. And for anybody that decided to go for the Sick Boy super strategy for today, I recommended an intermediate setup, a very high downforce setup for qualifying, and that really would make it so that you're kind of struggling in qualifying and benefiting in the race. So what I'm just quickly saying is, with such a good lap time, 0.2 of a second up from his Alpine teammate Dark Inferno, I wouldn't be surprised if Robert DS has gone through a dry setup thinking that the weather will turn bright and sunny earlier than it actually is, because I did a 50% race against AI earlier today and it didn't stop raining until lap 18 out of 22.
Oh, boy.
Even though when you look at the weather report that Steph posted, it looks like it's going to get dry around like the probably about 30 about 1/3 away from the end of the race, and that will be about lap 14. But no, it doesn't get dry until about lap 18. And that means that the intermediate setup is preferable. But then again, I may be just rambling on about nothing. And in reality, they might have used a dry setup or an inter setup or whatever. I've also just realised that Robert DS is going to have the inside line into La Source. But Dark Inferno at the same time could go round the outside. Even so, regardless, I'm going to stop blabbering on. And if PJ is back, I
I'm back
think
here.
we can... Yeah. We can go for it. My brand new favourite segment of our commentaries, PJ's pre-race prediction.
Oh man, this one is a hard one to do. I
I
my
can guarantee
tradition-
that there's going to be a massive DNF in this race. So
Yeah, I
I
would
think
agree.
I'm going to ask you 3 questions. I'm going to ask you,
Okay.
who do you think is going to win this race? Who do you think is going to be, I kind of said that failure of the race back in Imola. That's such a harsh thing to say. The heartbreak of the race. Who are you really going to be crying about in bed tonight? Maybe it could be Dark Inferno. He leads the race by 30 seconds and bins it on the final lap. And who do you think is going to be the biggest surprise of this Grand Prix? Take
Okay,
it
here
away.
we go. I'll try to go quick. I think Robert Diaz is going... Actually, no, I'm sorry. I think Dark is going to win the race. It's his home
Wow.
race, technically, in some respects. I think he has a very good feel around Spa.
How is
I
it his home
believe...
race?
What'd you say?
How is it his home race?
Because he's half
Oh,
Belgian.
is he?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
had no idea. I have no idea. But even so, yeah, so it's home race.
I think the biggest heartbreak, I don't know. I never like to do this. I think whatever. I'll just give it a Cole was epic. I think random.
Oh.
I don't actually like picking anybody to spin. My biggest surprise, I think, is going to be JKS Racing. There's a little oddball for you. I think
Wow,
he will
that
finish top 8. Is that fair? Is that fair of a?
That
surprise?
is good. That is nice. I mean, even though it's the PJ segment, I would like to make a few predictions of my own. I think the winner of this race is going to be... I'm going to make a bold prediction. I think the two Alpines are going to take each other out on lap 1. I think Konnikid's going to slap up this victory. I think the biggest heartbreak is going to be Enturi Pachulo. I think he's going to DNF. And then the biggest surprise, well, not really a surprise, but kind of the best moment is I think Steph is all the way down into P10. I think Steph's going to get a podium finish today, PJ. I'd be surprised if not. I mean, he's a great driver. I'm not too sure how he is in the wet. I feel like he's just going to carve up the field today, and he's just going to be a man on a mission.
I like the call. Usually I'm predicting B-Rob podium, but I'm going to try to lay off the commentator's curse here. Regardless, we are in Spa for Virtual Formula League Season 2, Race 9. Not forgetting the intro this time. This is PJK OTR coming at you from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Sick Boy, why don't you tell them where you're coming from, Sick Boy?
From Peterborough, England, ladies and gentlemen. I always get a bit nervous at that. I don't know
shout out. I don't know why. I want to give a special shout out to Hages Luke here, battling in the hospital right now, sending our best wishes from the whole VFL team. Hope you start to feel better soon, buddy. Hopefully we are giving you a good race to watch as it is underway. The 5 lights are up. 5 lights are out very quickly. And it looks like an even start at the top. Dark Inferno with a bit of wobble, but positions will hold.
Yeah, hang on. It's a... Oh, yeah, I'm not actually too sure what's actually happening right now. They're completely in the midfield,
switch
side
mics,
by side.
Switch mics.
Radion, oh, yeah, hang on.
Pretty even. Radion as Connor Kidd goes inside off the line as he is in P2. He managed to nab it off of Dark in turn 1. And now Dark using the slipstream to go around the outside of him.
He's going to be going for a move on Dark Inferno, heading into Les Combes, and he does make the move. He ends up into P2, but Dark Inferno once again
goes a little wide.
Yeah, he ends up running wide. Let's see if down into turn 5 whether they're going to stay side by side, but no, it's actually Dark Inferno who ends up taking the lead, and Chills F1 has, I think he's binned it a little bit, or something's happened. He was up into like P16, he's now down to P20 once again. But yeah, it's an incredibly tight midfield right now. Sky has just overtaken Darsam, but yeah, incredibly close. Tom Taylor's just run wide on No Name, and B-Rob's side by side heading into Pouon. B-Rob on the inside, and he brakes very early. Tom Taylor's got much more traction on the outside. It's not enough though. B-Rob does end up retaining his P14, but Mirko all over the inside of Tom Taylor heading into Les Fan. And it looks like he's got the better grip. He's now on the outside of Tom Taylor around this chicane. And he runs wide again. There's going to be a lot of time penalties.
Ooh,
in fact,
JKS
Lemkis has already...
runs into the back of Mirko there. And now Mirko going side by side with Tom. He does get around the inside, though.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Lemkis has already got a 3-second time penalty for corner cutting.
Oh, and look at Connor Kidd and Dark Inferno going side by side into the bus stop chicane. This is massive for both of them. Connor needs to stay in the top of 3 if he wants to keep his championship hopes alive. He manages to take the inside from Dark and gets out of the exit in P2. Great battling from P2 and P3.
That is an absolutely incredible move from Connor Kidd. Got such a better line through Blanchimont and all the way down into the bus stop chicane. Absolutely incredible. I wouldn't see too many overtakes. In fact, Oda was alongside Cameroon. In fact, he gets the better exit from...
Oh no, don't go side by side.
Turn 1, and they're going to be side by side through Eau Rouge. And there's a bit of a wheel bump right there, and Cameroon ends up taking the lead, but it doesn't matter. Oda gets a much better
go for a move now
through Radion and gets P10.
Oh
no. He isn't going to go. He is going to go for the move into Les Combes. He locks up like crazy though, and it means that Connor Kidd does retain his P2, but... they get a bit of a knock there. Did you see that? Dark Inferno knocked his wing a little bit.
Both Dark and Connor just seem like they're racing in the dry. They both have an incredible amount of grip in these wet circumstances. Incredible driving from them. And again, if Robert Diaz stays in P1 with the pole points, Connor Kidd will need to finish P4 or better to stay alive. So lots to play for up at the top.
Yeah, extremely interesting battle happening between the two top drivers. Down the pack, doesn't actually seem like there's much of anything going on, really. We've got about a 2 to 3/10 of a second gap between most of the drivers here. Especially, there's this bit of a midfield battle between Mirko, B-Rob and Darsan for P13. B-Rob is all over the gearbox of Darsan, heading into that big run all the way through Blanchimont to the bus stop chicane, all the way flat for the rest of this.
And I don't know about you, but I am incredibly impressed and surprised with how close the racing is through these first 2 laps. There are only about 2 or 3 drivers who have more than a second of space in front of them. Incredible driving to keep it clean so far, no DNFs.
Yeah, absolutely. And Konnikid just sets the fastest lap of the race. He's faster than even Robert DS. And let's not talk about let's not write Robert DS out of this. He's only 7/10 of a second ahead of Konnikid, and that could mean anything. One spin coming out of a corner, just a tiny bit on the curbs too much for Robert DS, and it could be all over for him, and he may end up losing a couple positions. Robert DS ends up cutting Radion, and surely would have gotten a warning for that. I think this race may even go down to a 3-second time penalty, PJ.
He's having to finally use up some of his ERS. Both Dark and Connor, as Dark slides nearly into the back, and Connor tries to go around the outside, and he's holding on the grip. Will he go on the inside? No, Connor Kid closes it off. But I was saying that Connor and Dark have both had to use quite a lot of ERS, and Robert has not. Sky, meanwhile, he has binned it, and he will have to recover. And he falls to last place on track. He is the first driver that has done that so far in this race.
Yeah, I think Chills F1 had a bit of a spin on lap 1, but yeah, you're right, especially to suffer as much as Sky did around Les Combes. Yeah, really unfortunate for Sky. He's 10 seconds behind the rest of the pack. Chills F1 gets a 3-second time penalty. I mean, it's such a close race between a lot of these drivers right now, especially, once again, Mirko, B-Rob and Darsan. B-Rob was all over the gearbox of Darsan through Les Fan last lap, and he's pretty much only about 3/10 of a second behind him this time. Let's see if he can get a better exit from Stavilo than he did last time, and he does. Darsan very late on the brakes, actually.
Yeah, and Darsan has nobody inside of him to cut through that air, so if B-Rob can stick this close to him, along with 90% ERS, once they get to the Kemmel Straight, B-Rob may be able to have a go at the AlphaTauri. But, ooh, B-Rob running wide again. He did that last lap. I don't think he's getting a warning for that, since he's not getting it. I think he might be,
yeah, I'm not too sure. Yeah, it's really, really tough kind of track limits around Blanchimont. But yeah, very unfortunate for him. Jules F1's going for a move on Tom Taylor into La Source even, ladies and gentlemen. And he does. He ends up getting a superior exit from the bus stop chicane. It's P18 for the AlphaTauri driver.
Oh, and Mirko just got B-Rob. I think that may have been a bit of a slide from B-Rob, as now Mirko has 8/10 to chase down Darsan in front of him. Darsan will be safe for at least a little whiles longer, as he himself is catching quite quickly up to Cameroon in the McLaren in front of him. Things have taken a bit of a rest in the top 3. They're all still within about a half second of each other, but at least they have not been on each other's gearbox, like you said just a few laps ago. Aston Martin boys having a great race in P4 and P5.
Oh, absolutely. I'm just checking the drivers' standings right now for Aston Martin. They've really been performing well recently. They didn't have that good of a start. They're all the way down into P6 in the championship. But, I mean, there's barely any points at all. 6 points separating Aston Martin and Haas, and then 12 points separating McLaren and Haas. So, I think if they perform well today, considering how bad Haas are doing at P10 and P20, I think they could even take P4 of the championship. But, yeah, it's looking like a pretty slow race at the moment between, well, really the majority of the pack. Yes, there's a 3/10 of a second gap between almost every driver, but I don't think anybody wants to go for a move. And I just saw a spin there, and I thought it was one of the top drivers, but it isn't. It's Chills F1, runs wide around Les Fan and ends up picking up some gravel. But there's a battle between Konnikid and Robert DS around the bus stop chicane for P1. Robert DS ends up staying around the inside, and it must have been extremely late braking from Konnikid, because last time I checked, he was 3/10 of a second away from Robert DS.
Dark's going to go for the move here on the inside.
He is. That's really cost Konnikid making a move on Robert DS. He locks up like crazy, and he runs a bit deep, actually. I'm not too sure whether Konnikid's going to get the better exit. He gets a snap of oversteer, and unfortunately, that is the P2 away for Konnikid, and that's brilliant driving for Dark Inferno. And once again, it's a 1-2 finish for Alpine, but Robert DS almost loses it up Radion and Eau Rouge, and he's had to break up Eau Rouge, I can almost guarantee, because now Dark Inferno is side by side, but Robert DS is using his ERS, Dark Inferno isn't, and he didn't look like he was even going for an overtake. Konica goes into the back of Dark Inferno in Les Combes, and that's just how close the three drivers are. They truly are up each other's gearboxes right now.
Yeah, and something
really
to watch,
sure.
Mirko a few laps ago was able to get, right after getting ahead of B-Rob, caught up to Darsan in just one lap, has passed him, and is now on the hunt himself for Cameroon. Mirko seems like the driver to watch, who is tearing through the standings. Steph is up in P8. He was your bet, so he's making progress. But Mirko has gained 1 position per lap to start this race.
Wow, that is really, really something. But yeah, I'm really unsure what happened between the two Alpine drivers down the Kemmel Straight. It looked like Dark Inferno let Robert DS have the lead. You wonder if there's any communication happening between the two Alpine drivers, and they're basically saying, look, Dark, you just need to stick yourself in P2, make your car as wide as possible for Konakid, and let me take P1. I wonder if that's what Robert DS has said.
I don't know. Knowing these two guys, I can't imagine either of them are doing anything but racing for the win. I spoke with Robert shortly before the race, did bring up the championship battle, and if something like that is weighing on him coming into a race like this, as you'd expect, he's sort of saying he's just going to race this as any other race, go for the win. If he sees Connor Kidd fall down the standings, that may come into his mind, but as it is now, he has got enough to focus on battling his teammate and his championship rival, and able to hold so far. He has held P1 for the entirety of this race, shows no signs of letting it go. Dark 3/10 back, 4/10 back now, heading into the straight.
Yeah, extremely interesting from Dark, the battle between the two Alpine drivers.
Oh, and Luke is going on the inside of Petullo and manages to get the move finished with before the turn comes. Great job from Luke. He has gotten himself up into P6.
Yeah, that was a really good move from Luke J. Gilly, especially because there's no DRS obviously in the wet, and that means that the Kemmel Straight is actually quite a tough place to overtake on. You see, normally it's like a guaranteed overtake, but now we're not seeing too many overtakes form at all. I think the best place to overtake now is actually in that twisty middle sector, but nobody really kind of wants to be sticking up a set of wheels around Les Fans, so at the moment it seems like there's a bit of a stalemate, I think you could call that, between all the drivers around the pack.
Yeah, and I think the best place to overtake is wherever the guy in front of you slips, because that is going to happen to drivers once or twice, few times around these 22 laps, and when that does, somebody is going to be behind them. Who slipped?
It's just happened to Nice Job Mate, just lost it around Pouon, I believe, actually. He was doing a few donuts, and he's absolutely heartbreaking for Nice Job Mate. He's lost about 4 or 5 positions. He's all the way down to P19. But yeah, that just kind of shows how easy it is to lose the rear end of the car. I mean, man, if one of the Alpine drivers in the front row ends up losing their car halfway through this race, it will be unfortunate. Just something of note with Dark Inferno, I know that he's not using ABS, and he is locking up like crazy at the moment. He just, into La Source, he locked up for about 50 metres. I'm not too sure whether that increases your tyre wear, but it definitely makes your braking distance longer. So I wonder if the conditions are tricky out there for Dark Inferno. I think they're tricky for all drivers right now, honestly.
Without a doubt. Terramax, meanwhile, is taking fastest lap, so he is showing that he's got some pace on that wheel of his. Interesting for Terramax, did you know that he does not race with any assist, including Racing Line? He may be the only driver in VFL that does not have any sort of Racing Line on. I know Dark has been talking about playing with it off a little bit and trying to practice with it, but Terramax has been racing no assist for a couple of years now, I think he mentioned. So, interesting to note.
That really is something, and it really makes you think that if Terramax did put on the driving line, whether he'd be contending for the top 3. Because I find that driving line helps so much. I had to take it off for PSGL last season when I was in F5, and that is something that you did not want to see. I was literally last on the grid. I was binning it every single lap. it was heartbreaking, honestly. But now, luckily, I've got my racing line on again, and I managed to finish, I think, P8, which wasn't too bad. It doesn't sound that spectacular, but it was a hard-fought P8 PGA, I can assure you of that. But yeah, not good for drivers who aren't using driving line. It's very,
oh,
very
Robert
tough,
ran wide going
wet.
into the bus stop, and now Dark will fly by into P1 and outbreak his teammate. Connor now getting on the back of both Alpine drivers as this happens, and they will come out of the bus stop chicane very tightly packed together. Robert, I don't think we'll have any move going into turn 1 as Dark Inferno now takes over the lead of the race for the first time today.
Yeah, you're exactly right. That mistake of Robert DS has really played into Connor Kidd's hands, but it doesn't seem like it's enough for him. 6.5 tenths of a second away from Robert DS. Meanwhile, he's all over the back of Dark Inferno. He cuts the top of Radion again. I'm not too sure if that would have given him a warning. He'd be on 2 right now. And actually, it is very close between the two drivers. Robert DS and Connor Kidd, less than 3 tenths of a second, less than 2 tenths of a second between the two Alpines. But unfortunately, no overtakes so far. Connor Kidd only 2 tenths of a second behind Robert DS. I'm sure that he will want to seize this opportunity and make a move before the end of the lap.
Oh, Mirko and Cameroon were going side by side here in Sector 1. Mirko got sent off the
Robert
track.
DS has almost spun around No Name, and in fact, he's lost a lot of time around No Name, and it means that Connor Kidd was just about to stick a wheel up Pouon. That would have been incredible if the two drivers went side by side. But it seems like Connor Kidd right now has got so much grip. I'm not too sure whether Robert DS has cooked his tyres or anything, but he looks like he's under a lot of pressure. He's making quite a few mistakes, so it'll be interesting
and there
to see.
goes Connor Kidd. He is the first to receive penalties of the top 3. But again, we've been seeing Robert run wide through Radion. Would not be surprised if that is the first of few penalties to be given out for these top drivers. I've not seen Dark cut yet, I believe, so he may be warning free.
Yeah, I'm actually yet to see Dark cut as well, and it will be interesting to see whether the win will be handed to the driver who simply has the least amount of penalties. We've seen that happen so many times, and as always, Steph has no penalties. So yeah, it will be interesting to see whether, like I said, the winner is just the driver who can race the cleanest.
Dark Inferno crosses the line with the fastest lap of a 155. And what do you expect for pit strategy going into this race? Obviously, or well, I can't say obviously because it is meant to dry up at the end, so perhaps we'll have some interesting decisions to be made then. But when would you expect drivers to be heading in for their first pit stop on these intermediate tires?
Oh man, I've actually got no idea, and the reason why is I did a 50% race earlier today to do my Sick Boy strategy, and I did not recommend any driver to pit for a fresh set of inters because the rain didn't dry up until lap 19, which is pretty much the latest it can dry up. And I was only on 60% wear, about 65% wear on my intermediates. So I would not recommend pitting at all because all the AI pit and I ended up winning the race by 25 seconds. So because I was the only driver who didn't pit and they were barely faster than me with a fresh set of inters. So all of the drivers who I've given the Sick Boy Super strategy to, including Connor Kidd, and anybody who asked for it, I haven't pitted for a fresh set of inters. But for example, Robert DS hasn't received the strategy, he didn't ask for it. I wouldn't be surprised if a couple drivers today do pit for a fresh set of inters, and the lap that's recommended is lap 11. At least that's when Jeff tells you to box, and maybe some of the drivers will decide to box. But personally, I would recommend staying on those inters until it dries up around lap 19, and then just banging on a fresh set of softs until the end. I saw a couple of drivers say, you know, if it dries up with 2 laps to go, should I maybe not box and stay on the inters? But I said to them, like, look, it's just not worth it. You can save about 20 seconds a lap on a fresh set of supers compared to being on inters in the dry. And Chills F1 has had a major crash, and that is a full course safety car, ladies and gentlemen,
and
for just a
do?
wing damage.
Yeah,
that's really interesting. And Cameroon's dropped a couple positions. He's dived into the pits, and that's fascinating for the bottom. I think the bottom 8 drivers, they have been able to pit before the safety car's been called, but the rest of the pack, it was too late for them.
And
So that means that Chills F1 will be able to
up.
fix his wing. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, that's good. Yeah, and I agree. I am a little surprised that a full-blown safety car for just what was a lost wing. But at the start of that, B-Rob did make contact with Darsan. As we know, those penalties are very easily given out under safety cars. So B-Rob did receive 5 seconds, as we have about 5 drivers in the pits right now putting
I'm not too sure. Yeah, sorry to interrupt. I'm not too sure what Tom Taylor's doing right now. He's on the slicks. I think he's expecting it to dry up, and if it was going to dry up under safety car, then that would have been a massive gamble paid off for Tom Taylor. And Chills F1's also gone on the slicks, but I can tell both drivers, Tom Taylor's lost it up Eau Rouge, and that could be DNF. It is for Tom Taylor, because he went on the slicks and the gamble did not pay off. Ladies and gentlemen, it's not going to dry up. Yeah, let's see if he loses it up Raidillon and Eau Rouge. You see, it's not going to dry up, ladies and gentlemen, until lap 19. So going on the slicks now is not going to be useful whatsoever. Chills F1 does take it nice and carefully. I mean, he had nothing to lose.
Am I misremembering correctly, but when F1 raced in Spa this year, I know qualifying was in wet. I know that's how George Russell managed to get the front row, but didn't Lando pit for slick mediums right at the end of qualifying to try to get a slick lap in, and just went straight into the barrier the same way Tom Taylor did?
I'm not too sure. I think he was on the intermediate tyre, but that exact same thing happened in qualifying in Sochi a couple of weeks later, if you remember. It dried up right at the very end, and half the drivers boxed. And in fact, quickly looking at the pit lane, Robert Diaz is the only driver in the top 3 that decides to pit for a fresh set of intermediates. And that means he's going to be coming out. He's going to trundle down the pit, and that is the race over, I would say, for Robert Diaz. I hate to call it early, ladies and gentlemen, but the intermediates, the fresh set of inters, are marginally faster. I'm talking about 1 or 2 tenths of a second faster than fresh inters. And Robert Diaz is going to come out behind B-Rob in P9, and Steph is also pit, so is Oda, and Darstan and Lemkis. But I hate to write off a driver this quick. You know that I'm always kind of early to cut to conclusions.
You love to write off a
driver. Talking about drivers who have just been written off, Chills F1 on the slicks is just DNF'd outside of No Name, on the exit No Name, and both drivers who pit for slicks, it's just that harsh out there. Nobody should be pitting for slicks until around lap 17, 18. I guess they didn't know when the rain was going to dry up, but yeah, so quickly moving on from that, Robert Diaz, like you said, I always jump to conclusions early, and for me, it's that Robert Diaz is going to be stuck in this pack. I think already he's regretting his decision to box for fresh tyres. I mean, they were about 1 or 2 tenths of a second faster than 10 lap.
Do you think there's a chance that maybe he was locking up, especially on front right or left, and had a real bad situation going on with his current tires, that he used this as an opportunity to get out of?
Yeah, that's actually a good point. If they've been doing a lot of lockups like we've seen from Dark Inferno, then I think that does increase the amount of tyre wear that you get. But what's interesting is Dark Inferno has been a man who's been locking up into turn 1 every single lap, but he's still on his original set of tyres. I mean, I just cannot believe this race has been turned upside down. Either Robert Diaz has made a stroke of genius right now, but I personally think, truly, that he has made a mistake by pitting. It's all the way down into lap 9, P9, sorry. We've seen how difficult it is to overtake, and he's only going to be on these intermediate tyres for another 8 laps, PJ, before everyone goes in for a fresh set of softs at the very end.
Yeah.
So he's going to have 9 laps to overtake 8 drivers in order to get into P1.
I gotta agree with you, and it's interesting because throughout Season 1 and the early parts of Season 2, what we came to know Robert Diaz as a driver for was not only his consistent pace, but his strategy decisions. And again, don't want to pass judgment on this decision until we see the consequences, but I do remember a uncharacteristic strategy mistake in Baku that I believe cost him the win. I can't quite remember the specifics. I think he was supposed to pit at a certain point and just didn't, which ended up costing him, I believe, some serious points. So very interesting to see these types of decisions come out of Robert, and we'll see if it pays off for him this time. But I agree with you. On paper, it seems like this may have been a mistake.
Yeah, I mean, it really does mean that the race win is on the cards for Dark Inferno right now. Not only is he in P1, but don't forget that Connor Kidd has got a 3-second time penalty, and I don't even think Dark Inferno is on a single warning. In fact, we can go into the race director and select the driver, and we can see how many warnings they've received. And Dark Inferno has actually received 2 warnings already, one on lap 1 and one on lap 2.
And what about Robert?
Robert DS, right, let's pan over to him, all the way down into P9. He has received 2 warnings as well.
Okay.
Connor Kidd has got 3 warnings, but that means he can make 2 more mistakes before getting a 3-second time penalty. I mean, who else? Mirko has got a 3-second time penalty. Steph has got 2 warnings.
What about the Aston Martin boys? They're still sitting nicely now in P3 and P4.
So 1 warning for Cole Was Epic and 2 warnings for Poppy 1195. So Cole Was Epic at the moment is winning the war on warnings. And honestly, PJ, I think it's going to be extremely difficult for Dark Inferno and all of the other drivers who have 2 warnings to do another 10 laps of this race without getting a single warning.
I completely agree, even though sort of strange from Dark that he started out with a warning on lap 1 and 2 and then since then has kept it clean. So maybe he found the lines, he's feeling it, but certainly agreed that it is a tall order to go the rest of this race without a single misstep. And in that case, if the pack stays tight, Cole Was Epic will get to jump a few spots.
Yeah, what's interesting is a lot of drivers ended up getting a warning on lap 1. I think that's down to the drivers going side by side up Eau Rouge and Radion, and then drivers thinking, look, I've got 1 or 2 decisions. I can either cut Eau Rouge and run wide and live to tell the tale, or I can take the line, not get a penalty, but I may end up DNFing. So I think a lot of drivers ended up cutting Eau Rouge on lap 1, and that's why we've got so many drivers with time penalties. It's crazy, but yeah, out of the drivers that I've checked, Cole Was Epic, only driver with 1 warning.
Safety car is going around the bus stop chicane and into the pits. Race will resume. We'll be riding on board with Connor and Cole here to try to get a good point of view for how Dark restarts this race, and he is off. A very good restart from him will create about a half-second of gap. Meanwhile, Poppy looking to go around the outside of his teammate. No, decides not to and sticks behind, and I don't see any moves. Oh, Mirko goes up the inside of Pit as well as B-Rob. Pit gets passed by 2 drivers.
Yeah, Pit oversteers, and that means that Robert DS also overtakes Pit because he got such a bad exit from turn 1. He's suffering all the way down the straight. There's a yellow flag in sector 1. That's contact between Nice Job Mate and Taramax. They're both at La Source right now, being turned around. But Steph, he's got an incredible exit from Radion, and he has overtaken Entui Pachulo heading into Les Combes. And yeah, that is a terrible start for Entui Pachulo. I think he lost about 5 or 6 positions. Mirko was the first driver to overtake him, and he's all the way up into P6. Oda, I think, has just lost a couple of positions. He has. Oda has just lost it around Les Combes and has just lost a couple of positions as Lemkes gets a 3-second time penalty.
Up in the midfield, it is tight as well. We have Robert, who is on his way trying to cut through this pack, and he has gotten past Pit as well as B-Rob and Steph, and now it is a little sandwich between them, and Steph is right on the back of Robert, 1/10 back.
Oh, I thought he was about to go for a move into Les Fan.
Dark gets his 3 seconds.
Yes, this is the start of it. Robert DS also has 2 time penalties, or 2 warnings, I do apologise. All he has to do is go wide once more, and it's all over for Robert DS. He gets a snap of oversteer coming out of sector 2, and that just opens the door for Steph. He is using all of these ERS. He seems to be going faster than Robert DS heading into Blanchimont, but it isn't enough. He's just going to stay behind Robert DS. In fact, the more I look at it, the more it looks like Steph's going to make a move into bus stop, but unfortunately he doesn't. And look how close that battle is, all the way from, I would say, Poppy 1195 all the way down to Entui Pachulo as Cameroon boxes.
Yeah, he's got a drive-through penalty. Robert coming up onto the backside of B-Rob into La Source.
Yeah, La Source, turn 1. You remember it better than I do.
Yeah. And we'll see if Robert can use the slipstream from B-Rob to get a pass on the Camel Straight, but I don't see it happening as he cuts it again. I guess it wasn't. That sure looked like what should have been his third warning.
Mirko.
Yep.
Yeah, Mirko's only less than 1/10 of a second. He has stuck it on the inside into Lecom, and he does overtake the McLaren driver, Luke J.
that
Gilly.
was fantastic.
Excellent drive, but Luke J. Gilly all over the gearbox of Mirko. Is he going to stick it up the inside of turn 8? He doesn't.
No, I don't think it's there.
That would have been something else. But
man, and I don't know how many times I have to say it, but Mirko is one of my favorite overtakers in this league. I'm bummed that I've missed a few of his already this race, but happy that I got to see that one, because that is a fantastic move and something you see happen quite frequently when watching Mirko.
Oh yeah, absolutely. What's interesting is that Steph looks like he's got a lot of pace in him. He's all over the back of Robert DS. Whilst Robert DS is kind of taking the racing line, Steph is swerving all over the place. He looks like he's getting a bit agitated, in all honesty. He really wants to overtake Robert DS. I think he can go a second faster a lap, but he's just got such an incredible amount of dirty air and traffic right now that, yeah, he's desperate to overtake Robert DS.
And
Let's see if an overtake does happen.
Something very interesting to watch is the gap that Connor and Dark have created from Colas Epic, who again is that front leader in terms of no penalties. But now it's 2.5 seconds, so if they keep on this pace, they may be able to pull into that safety zone. Of course, we do still have a lot more driving to go and a lot more dry driving, which should certainly mix things up as Robert sends it down the inside on B-Rob. Can he manage to come out? No, he does fall behind B-Rob. What a dive bomb. Oh, he did lock up.
Yeah, so Robert DS locked up on B-Rob, and it looked like for a moment that he was actually going to go right into the back of the Ferrari driver and lose his wing, but I think he got extremely lucky. The fact that he didn't DNF there, wow.
Yeah, and it could have been a spectacular move or a spectacular
Mirko, real
disaster.
quick, side by side with Poppy, heading into Lecom, and he goes to the outside of Lecom.
Can he do it
Poppy,
again?
Holding his line, but no, Poppy's got the inside, and they touch wheels a little bit, but it doesn't matter. Mirko all over the exit curb at turn
now
7.
Luke takes Poppy.
Oh wow, that is. Oh no, but Poppy's now on the inside of turn 8, but it doesn't matter. Heading into No Name, it is going to be Luke J. Gilly in P5, and Poppy losing 2 positions in a couple of corners.
And 2 laps in a row, Mirko making a move at the same turn. One on the inside, one on the outside. Oh, and Terramax, I believe, has spun.
Yeah, and look at Robert DS real quick. He's all over the back of B-Rob, honestly. Again, it looks like he's got so much pace in him on these fresher tyres. B-Rob, 14 lap-old intermediates. So it looks like it's a bit of a struggle for Robert DS. And honestly, around Pouron, he was about a quarter of an inch away from the back of B-Rob's car.
Yeah, but like you said, when it's marginal, that's difficult to have that slight margin of pace.
Yeah, he gets a killer exit. And on the run through Blanchimont, it looks like he's all over the back of B-Rob. And it looks like he's...
No, he'll let up.
Too soon. He lifts off. He plays it safe. But Steph doesn't lift off. But Robert DS does go for the move onto the inside of B-Rob into the bus stop chicane. And this opens the door for Steph. Robert DS does take P7 from B-Rob. B-Rob gets a snap of oversteer from the bus stop chicane. And that's just allowed Steph to get closer than ever to B-Rob. And he also goes for a move up Les Source. Steph banging
how
wheels
did they
with
keep
B-Rob.
it straight? Yeah,
And he gets
lots of contact there. And just got to give a shout out to my favorite thing in VFL. Got a little glimpse into the battle of the Robs there. This time Robert DS comes out on top, but always a fun one to watch. Meanwhile, Colas Epic nearing 3 seconds to Connor Kidd. In fact, it does cross that time limit now. Steph just less than a tenth back on B-Rob. Is he going to send it up the inside? He will. And B-Rob can't do much about it. I think he needed to make a defensive move before the breaking point there.
Oh, Steph gets a 3-second time penalty.
He does, after the move was done.
Yeah, he gets a snap of oversteer and ends up getting a 3-second time penalty. That is unfortunate. But real quick, once again, Robert DS, he's a man on a mission right now. He's all over the back of Poppy. He actually gets a snap of oversteer outside of No Name. But yeah, all over the back of Poppy 1195. I think an overtake is likely. Go ahead.
Who can say how this one is going to turn out? I mean, it will be so interesting to watch who pits when this wet turns to dry. But as it stands now, it would be a photo finish between the two at the top, and Colas Epic, who is trying to stay within 3 seconds. Of course, he's 3 seconds to Connor. So right now, Dark does have about a second of space that would keep him in the lead.
Oh, hang on, Steph has just lost it. Ladies and gentlemen, I believe that Steph has either given his wing a massive knock or lost it. Steph, who was looking so strong, ends up getting a massive snap of
he
oversteer.
does have right wing
damage.
He has right wing, and he'll have to go into the pits, and this is awful for him. No!
He ends up going into the back of B-Rob once again, and he stays out. I'm not too sure what Steph's doing. But yeah, he gets a massive, and he's gone for another snap of oversteer outside a bus stop. But yeah, it was outside of Stavolo. He ends up getting a massive snap of oversteer, and now Darsan is all over the inside of Steph. I'm not too sure what he was doing. Clearly, it's stopped raining, PJ. I think what Steph is doing is waiting one more lap, waiting for it to be dry, and he's going to box for a brand new wing when he goes onto the slicks. But yeah, that's heartbreak for Steph. He's lost 3 positions, but he does get... Oh, well, I'll eat my words. Entui Pachulo is the first driver to box for softs, PJ. And he's drifting all over the place, and he's knocked his wing on the exit of the pit lane already. It does not look like it is slick weather. If any of the top 10 drivers were thinking of boxing for slicks, and talking about the top 10, Steph ain't in it anymore. He's lost so many positions. He's completely lost his wing at this point. And he's just trundling down the positions. And unfortunately, it's that curse once again. I say that Steph's going to perform well. He does rubbish. I say he's going to bin it. And he doesn't. Maybe I should just say that Steph's going to spontaneously combust every single race and he'll take the championship. I'm not too sure, but
yeah, and like you said, just the worst timing possible for him. If he would have pit on that lap, he would have had to come right back into the pits about a lap or 2 later. He's stuck between a rock and a hard place, and he will fall down to P14 for now and hope that it dries up as soon as possible. Although, like you said, it is still not slick conditions, and you would have to think maybe a lap or 2 until it is.
Yeah, it's really interesting because it seems like the rain effect has started on the screen of some drivers. I wouldn't be surprised if a couple drivers try and be a hero and box extremely early, and I thought that was Dark Inferno then, PJ.
I don't think it's a wise decision to yet.
Yeah, I mean, Entui Pachulo has kind of paid the price. He's all the way down into last position after that ballsy move. No driver does box. In fact, no, Oda does go into the pits, so he's the next victim to probably DNF. I'm going to be staying with Oda for a bit. I want to see how well he does on the slicks.
Man, and like we said when Robert Diaz made that call to pit under that safety car, I mean, he hasn't been able to get back. Ooh, I'll save my breath for now as Mirko makes the pass on Cole at the start of the Kemmel Straight. And now this is interesting because one could argue that Mirko has had the best pace on the grid today. Cole was epic, couldn't keep within 3 seconds of those front 2, but maybe leave it up to Mirko to chase them down.
Yeah, I'm just spectating Oda right now. He's going up Radion and Oruge on the slicks, and he loses the rear, and it looks like it will be a DNF for Oda, but luckily he manages to catch it. That could have been a safety car, and that could have really thrown a spanner in the works.
Oh, come on!
Oh no! Massive, absolutely massive! Oda loses it, and that is a safety car has been called.
Oh no!
With 4 laps remaining, and that was all Oda's fault. He spins it at the top of Eau Rouge and Radion and re-entering the track. I saw Taramax coming closer and closer and closer, and I was really wondering where Taramax was able to go. That was an absolutely major crash for Taramax.
I mean, Oda could not have blocked that straight better if he tried. Yes, he was perpendicular in the middle
a huge penalty
of the
for
straight.
Oda.
Taramax lifted going into it. He knew there was a yellow flag and still just could not do anything. And Oda, I believe, maybe his last 2 races in Tier 1 due to penalty points accumulated, and hate to seem harsh, but a glimpse into how that can happen, as he will surely accumulate quite a few more. Our front drivers will go into the pits.
As
and
expected,
how interesting.
everybody is in the pits, but what's interesting is this could be heartbreak for Alfa Romeo because both drivers are neck and neck. They're going for the double stack, and it means that Mirko is going to have an extremely long pit stop. He does slow down. Bit naughty for Mirko, actually. He's made the gap about 6 seconds to stop the double stack. Obviously, everyone's going on the mediums. At the moment, I'm watching Mirko to see if Alfa Romeo can pull this double stack off.
Well, and the thing is, the Dark had built up that 3 or 4 second gap that would have kept him clean with penalties, but now with the safety car, that gap will be eliminated, and Dark will have to somehow find 3 seconds to create once again once the safety car restarts with 1 or 2 laps left. So really, this is just going to favor those who do not have penalties, that being perhaps Cole Was Epic, and perhaps even Sky, if Sky is trying to do the impossible and just keep the intermediates on, it will be a lot easier to do so under safety car, and he may lose a second every lap coming out of that safety car, but it won't matter if there's only 1 or 2 laps.
Honestly, PJ, it's going to be more than a second. I would even say it's about 20 seconds faster a lap on the softs than the inters. You can't forget that the inters are going to be red raw around a bone dry track. Every single corner you're going to be overheating the tyres like nobody's business. However, this is going to be heartbreak for Dark Inferno, because he's now got 2 barriers in front of him of Lemkis and Sky, who are going to be going extremely slow on those intermediate tyres. I wouldn't be surprised if one of them loses the back end up Radeon, just like Oda and all the other drivers have today. I mean, man, this is really shaking things up.
And what does this mean for the battle between Robert DS and Connor the Kid? I knew what Connor needed to do if Robert finished first, but I don't know what he needed to do if Robert finished 8th. I didn't see that coming. It was brought on by a questionable pit under safety car, and now he's got no time penalties to his name, but will have to get some overtakes done with once this safety car restarts, which again may only be 1 or 2 laps of racing.
Yeah, and don't forget that this track is still well and truly wet out there. I just saw Dark Inferno hold a bit of a drift around Le Fan. He almost lost the rear, and that would have been heartbreak for Dark Inferno. He's provisionally leading this race because, like you said, I hate to write off drivers. I mean, I love to write off drivers, but I think we can both agree that Lemkis and Sky are going to be gobbled up by the rest of the pack. If both drivers don't decide to pit for inters, I'm not too sure whether they're going to see how dry that track is and have a second thought. But I mean, I think both drivers have got nothing to lose. If they pit now, they are going to be well and truly last.
Yeah, and
so
they are going to be some difficult back markers to clear for guys like Dark and Connor. I mean, like you said, they may be sliding all over the track, and that is difficult to get a pass on when the guy in front of you is doing that. We are going around lap 20, and the safety car is still out.
Yeah, so it'll be 2 laps to go. So the racing will resume. Lap 21 will not even have DRS throughout the entirety of the rest of this race. Lap 21 and lap 22 will be proper racing, and that's all because N2E Pachulo is about 23 seconds behind the rest of the pack. But yeah, what's crucial is for Lemkis and Sky, with only 2 laps left, I do think that it's viable them staying on the inters, especially because Sky doesn't have any time penalties and he was right way down the pack. It was a bit of a stroke of genius him staying on the inters, but it's an incredibly dangerous move. All both drivers have to do is maintain the lead heading into Lecom, because it's going to be easy for the rest of the pack to gobble up those drivers down the Kemmel Straight.
The Alfa Romeo drivers have crashed into each other. Not crashed, but just bumped.
Yeah, they've just bumped into each other. However, because Dark Inferno said that if you knock into a driver under safety car, you won't get the time penalties removed, I reckon that he will make an exception for 2 teammates bumping into each other. I mean, they're not impacting each other's races whatsoever, and it will be heartbreaking, and it will be a bit naughty from Dark Inferno, I think.
It would be an easy penalty to remove since there are no pit stops left. Usually it gets a bit messy once you have to serve the penalty, but this one, it will just be 5 seconds added on to the end time, so it would be quite easy to remove that. I didn't catch it. I'm sure we'll see it in incident reports. Hopefully that doesn't impact the race too much. And it was Connor the Kid. Wait, I think they both received penalties for it.
Yes. Yeah,
and
unfortunately.
Connor, how does he have so many penalties? He's got 13 seconds of penalties.
Wow, that is interesting. He must have had 2 5-second time penalties.
Yeah, that doesn't add up.
I'm quickly going to check. Race director.
He must have had 5 seconds.
Yeah, 2 penalties on lap 20, so I think he received 2 5-second penalties.
Wow.
Because he ended up boxing lap 19. So if he got a 5-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane, it would have showed it up as lap 19. But real quick, the safety car is in this lap, and we have Lemkis and Sky on the intermediates.
Oh no.
And what I was going to say is that all they have to do is maintain the lead of this race, PJ, into Lecom, which is that corner after the Kemmel Straight, because it's easy to overtake through the Kemmel Straight, but if both drivers are going extremely slow around that middle sector, it's going to be so difficult for Dark
I don't
Inferno
think they'll
to
be
overtake.
able to. I think Dark will be able to get by him in this first sector just on the much grippier tires. We are about to see Lemkis is off. The race is restarted. 2 laps left to go. Here goes Dark. Sky covering the inside. Dark will move to the outside, and Sky responds by going to the outside again.
Yeah, I think he has lost his wing. Sky's just been turned around completely. Dark Inferno may have damage, but Sky definitely has damage. He's been completely turned around.
I don't think Dark is damaged, and I gotta say that was overly...
Konakid is all over the back of Dark Inferno right now, and yeah, Lemkis gets a terrible entry and exit through Eau Rouge and Radion. His finger is on the ERS, but Dark Inferno is all over the back of him, but it looks like Lemkis has got more straight line speed. Will Dark Inferno go for a move around the outside? Yes, he does, and Lemkis has to brake extremely early due to his tyres, and that's an easy move for Konakid. He moves around the outside of Lemkis, and it means that he's going to be moving down the standings. Steph has had a massive collision around Lecom. He moves down. Luke J. Gilly has had a bit of a collision, I think, or maybe it's that Sky's lost something. I'm not too sure. There's a massive bits of debris flying everywhere.
Oh my goodness, and meanwhile Lemkis is just falling down the standings as expected, but there's a lot more going on. Robert right on the back of Mirko. Connor the Kid has... Oh no, I'm sorry, got that a little mixed up. Cole is now creating a gap. Robert goes around the outside. Can he hold it on Mirko? Yes, he can. What a move from Robert. He's back up in P4, and he's got no penalties. Mirko picks up 3 more seconds, and Robert, while he's not on track in the lead, he does have no penalties compared to his championship contender, Connor, who has 13 seconds. Dark should be safe with only 3 seconds of penalties from Cole Was Epic, but it is going to be mighty close. It will come down to this last lap to see how much pace Dark has in the clean air. If he can create a 3-second gap in order to secure the victory at Spa, he sets the fastest lap for now. But that will almost surely be beaten on this last lap. Darsan making a move up into P5 on Mirko. And here we go one more time. Again, about 2.8 separates Cole from Dark. I'm not sure where Connor Kidd will finish with his 13 seconds of penalties, but these two, between Dark and Cole, will be easy to calculate. And right now, Cole does have the race win.
Yeah, and also don't count Robert DS potentially ended up actually overtaking Connor Kidd on the track alone. But at the moment, there's a bit of a battle between Connor Kidd and Dark Inferno. Don't forget, both drivers have 3-second time penalties. Even though Connor Kidd's got 13 seconds, I'm sure 10 of those seconds will be removed. Dark Inferno goes wide around one of the corners. I don't even know what it is. And through No Name, it's kind of neck and neck right now. I'm sure that Connor Kidd will just want to be making a move. They're equal on ERS as they head through Pouon. At the moment, it's Dark Inferno is ahead by a couple of tenths of a second.
Yes, but he's only ahead by about 2.6 seconds from Cole. And meanwhile, Robert is even trying to get within that 3-second window. The stats are not loading at the moment, but I think even that will be close as Robert does not have penalties. He may be able to jump his teammate if he can finish this lap within 3 seconds of him. As it stands,
Cole Was Epic knows that he could be actually winning the race. But Connor Kidd is going all over the back of Dark Inferno. He's going to make a last-minute move on the final lap round the bus stop chicane. He does brake later than Robert DS. He's making a last-minute move. He sticks to the inside, and it's going to be a photo finish for both drivers. But it's Dark Inferno who gets the better exit, and by less than a tenth of a second, it's Dark Inferno. But Cole Was Epic actually is the gentleman who wins the race.
And there is a new race winner, Sick Boy. We can stamp it on this one. No, he has not. I checked it. That is a new inductee into the list of VFL winners. A huge congratulations to Cole. He has been on a mega drive this season, tied for P3. He is not tied anymore. What a drive from him. Hard to tell what is going to shake up between Robert and Connor. It is clear, I think, that Connor may get some penalties removed, although he's got 6 seconds until Poppy, so he needs to get 2 penalties at least in order to gain a spot. What a race in Spa. Congratulations to Cole Was Epic. An incredible drive from Dark Inferno, but it wasn't enough. That one warning will cost him the win, but not the podium. What a race.
Man, that was absolutely incredible. Cole Was Epic, final minute, actually winning the race. And I believe that was actually down to Connor Kidd making a move final lap around the bus stop chicane. Both drivers were slowed down by about half a second. because they were going side by side, and that just allowed Cole Was Epic to seize that opportunity and take his very first win in VFL. But I've just checked the driver's standings, and before Spa, Connor the Kid, Cole Was Epic is only 12 seconds behind Connor Kidd. So now, I believe, since Connor Kidd would have finished in P3, Cole Was Epic potentially may even take P2 of the championship. But yeah, that was an incredible race. Robert DS has not won the title yet, ladies and gentlemen. He gets fastest lap, he gets P4. Remember, Connor Kidd will be in P3. And it means that the title is going to go down to the final race here in Brazil next week. And unfortunately, I'm not able to commentate it. I won't be there. But I'm sure that PJ will give an incredible show. And it's going to go down to the final wire.
Do you want to try to add some members for interview?
Absolutely, I'm definitely going to invite Cole Was Epic, and I think Robert DS as well. He made such a good comeback. Remember, he was all the way down in P9, and we'd written off his race entirely. He ended up not getting the win, but he got pretty close to the win, ladies and gentlemen. A P4 from that is commendable, to say the least. And I actually have to add Cole Was Epic, I think, as a friend on PlayStation. So I'm just going to do so right now. What did you make of that race, PJ?
I loved it. I thought that was one of the better races we've had. Very excited that we got a new winner. I mean, there was so much interesting in that race.
I mean, that really was something. Apparently Cole Was Epic is on my friends list. There he is. He was hiding. There we go. I'll message Cole in the chat to see whether he wants to be interviewed, but first of all, I think I'm going to have to take the mic to Robert DS as he just joins. Robert DS, that was an incredible comeback. Hang on, it's because I'm checking Discord and asking whether Connor can talk or Cole. Anyway, I'm going to focus on you now. It looked like that was your race to win. You and Dark Inferno were kind of battling for the first third of the race, but then you make... I mean, was it a poor decision in the end? You tell me. You boxed on lap 11, one of the only drivers to do so. Fresh set of inters. You were stuck in P9 for about 10 laps. And that safety car kind of saved everyone. So, in retrospect, was it a bad decision? Was it a mistake?
Yeah, it was definitely a mistake. I thought everyone was going to box, to be honest, so I didn't think I'd lose out much. But from 11th to 20th, everyone came in. But that little gaggle from like 4th to 10th or so that was in a train, none of them boxed, so I came out one way behind, and I found it impossible to overtake in the wet as well. I'd kind of set up a bit more dryish than everyone else, so I was kind of banking on the dry kind of bit early, but it just never came until the end safety car. And well, I could have actually won the race, but Mirko, and he had damage, I think, so it wasn't his fault or anything, but I was right behind Cole, who's won the race, so I didn't have the pace in the first 20 laps anyway. Connor and Dark were much quicker. I was just keeping up because I had the track position and it was impossible to overtake without the DRS.
Yeah. Oh man, it seems like such a difficult race. I mean, first of all, the pole position, you ended up holding it by 2/10, and in the commentary I did actually suspect that you had gone for like a dry setup, and that's why you were so strong in qualifying. So yeah, it turns out that you did go for the dry setup. Did you think it was going to turn dry much earlier than it actually did?
Well, I went for a dry setup and like put the wings up by 1 or 2 on each clip. That I don't know if that counts as a wet setup or not, but yeah, I didn't really know what the race conditions were even like, to be honest, before I joined the lobby. I just asked Dark what he's doing, and I just copied that. But
oh man,
yeah, the lap in qualifying wasn't actually that great, so I clearly did go a lot more on the dry side than everyone else, because come the race I wasn't nowhere, but I didn't have the pace of the top guys to win the race, and I was on 2 warnings from lap 4, so I had to be a lot more careful as well.
Yeah, I'd actually noticed that on the thing. Me and PJ were talking about the warnings and how I think the race was going to be decided by time penalties, and it was. In the end, Cole Was Epic taking the win due to the time penalties. But another thing of note that I noticed and PJ was talking about was you and Dark Inferno were battling quite hard. Was there any team orders? Were you kind of letting each other through and Dark Inferno was trying to keep Konakid back, or was it that there was no team orders at all?
Not really. No team orders. I think we were side by side once, and well, twice. Once it was on the stray, and I just had the lower downforce, so I was able to just kind of breeze away with the ERS. And then the second time, I just decided I slammed on the brakes and let him through. Don't know if you caught that, but I was trying to do the slipstream thing again I was doing last week, and it worked. It worked twice. It got Dark back ahead of Connor. But
wow,
yeah, then Dark kind of started to pull away, and then the safety car. No, I think I could have won as well if I stayed out, because everyone else got penalties around me apart from Cole, but he wouldn't have been in the fight. So I think I lost the race on myself today. But hey, congratulations to Cole.
Man, it sounds like a bit of a heartbreak, but it doesn't seem like you're going to be losing this championship. I mean, you've reduced your lead over Konakid by only 2 points. So you're now only 16 points ahead of him, but it still means that as long as you are about 4 or 5 positions ahead of Konakid next week in Brazil, then the championship will be yours, and I will get my golden Tier 1 Drivers' Championship role removed, and it will be slapped onto your account. So hopefully you look forward to that, and good luck.
Sorry, do I not jump Connor, because he got what, P3 in the end? He was behind Dark at the line, was he?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he gets 2 points more than me, but I had the pole and fastest lap. So.
Well, I don't know.
Yeah, that is true.
Connor had 13 seconds of penalties. So...
Yeah, I suspect 10 will be removed. That's just what I was kind of. That's what I was going with.
Yeah, I forgot about pole and fastest lap actually. If you take into that, I think that you
should extend.
Yeah, scoring about 1 more point than him. But yeah, it means that the race is definitely in your favour when it comes to next week. And unfortunately, I can't commentate, but I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
However, I'm quickly going to pass the mic over to Cole. Was epic. He's been very patient waiting in this chat. And I just need to say, like, first of all, congratulations on your first win in VFL. How does it feel?
Thank you. It feels good. It's the first time. Thanks. It's the first time I've actually won in a league. This is the only league I've really raced in. So and it feels better as well because of what happened in Imola in Saudi Arabia, losing Saudi Arabia to penalties, and Imola because I'm an idiot. So it feels nice to actually get the win. We'll see what happens with the penalties, but I think from what people are saying, it's safe. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think many people will get their penalties removed. They were all kind of 3-second time penalties, but yeah, I mean, it seemed like you kind of raced the perfect race. I'm not too sure. What position did you qualify? Just quickly remind me.
I qualified 5th, mainly thanks to my teammate giving me a tow, Poppy, because my lap was shocking, to be honest. So
wow. And it almost seemed like everything kind of went to your favour. I mean, you saw Robert DS box ahead, and then that allowed you to take a position, and then that safety car helped everybody out really at the end. So, I mean, it was kind of a quiet race. I didn't spectate you very much. Unfortunately, I didn't see many of the overtakes that you kind of pulled off, but it seemed like a great race from you, and I hope that Sick Boy Super strategy that I sent you helped out, and maybe that's the reason why you won. I don't know. We'll never know, ladies and gentlemen.
It did help because it gave us a rough idea of when to pit, but it was also me and my teammate in constant communication, him giving me an ideas where to pit and stuff. I don't know what Robert was doing with the pit stops. I guess it was to prevent the double stack, but I don't really know. And then I didn't really do anything. I think I got N2E off the start, and then I just sat in my own bubble in 4th watching the 3 in front just battling away, and then it only really became a possibility of a podium in the win when the final safety car came out, because I mean, other than that I was probably going to just finish 4th, which I would have been happy with.
Yeah, that safety car, just thinking about it, bunching up all of the drivers actually really helped you out, because there was a massive 2-second gap between, I think it was the front 2 runners and then the rest of the pack. So it's like winning the race due to a time penalty difference was kind of off the cards, but then suddenly the safety car was called and it all kind of went into your favour. I mean, yeah, congratulations, and because it was such a great points finish, I think that is actually quite a few points higher than Konakid. Konakid finishes in P3, hang on a minute, trying to get into my phone. If Konakid finishes in P3 and he gets 20 points, your victory gave you 26 points. Meaning, rather than being... Hang on. Are you ready for this?
14 points back?
Yeah,
like
no, you're 12 points back, and because you've gained 6 points, you'll only be 6 points off Konakid in the neck-and-neck fight for P2 in this championship. And it also means that you've outscored Steph by over 20 points. You're actually tied on points with Steph. And unfortunately for Steph, that means he's going to trundle down the positions. I think he actually goes below Dark Inferno, so that'll be a P5 for Steph. And yeah, so congratulations, you've ended up beating Steph, who was tied with you, and you're only 6 points off Konakid. It'll be tough to beat him next week. He's racing for the championship. He's going to be a man on a mission, but good luck to you, and hopefully you can take that P2.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think it'll be a really great race next week. But I think that is everything, PJ.
That will do it from here at Spa. Season 2, Race 9 is over with. What a race. That was a fun one. Congrats to Cole Was Epic. We will see you back here for the finale. Sick Boy, as always, thank you for joining. Hope you have a good holiday next week. For everyone else, we will be back, same place, same time, racing in Brazil for the championship. See you then. Adios.